For a whole generation of Western kids growing up in the 90s, Dragon Ball became the gateway that introduced us to the magical world of Japanese comics and animation, manga and anime. It's the show that illustrated to us how completely different Japanese animation was compared to the West. For me, it is without doubt the most known not only anime but products ever. It is one of the very few anime that has truly gone global and mainstream in pop culture. I am willing to bet that if you asked people who do not watch anime to name one, the most common answer would be Dragon Ball Z. It is the anime that completely transformed the industry and made it a global phenomenon, providing direct inspiration to future hits such as Naruto, Bleach and One Piece. The reverberations of Dragon Ball Z can be felt to this very day. You don't believe me? Remember the hugely positive response to the announcement of Dragon Ball Super? How about the massive backlash against the awful animation of the earlier episodes? No other anime commands such a global response. But why was and is Dragon Ball Z so popular? I am GB from UB2 Gaming and I am looking to answer this question. In order to truly understand why Dragon Ball became the cultural phenomenon that it is today, it is crucial to understand the climate of manga and anime in Japan during the 80s. This was a time when the super athletic and powerful protagonist reigned supreme. Characters such as Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star were the norm during this time period. They looked larger than life and gave viewers a grandiose projection of themselves. But this is where the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, differed. Akira created a protagonist who was the antithesis of this: Son Goku. Goku was a young, short and relatively unmuscular character, completely different to a lot of the main leads at the time. Goku did not feel completely unnatural and unattainable. Goku actually felt relatable and something each of us could aspire to become. I honestly believe this was a huge factor in Dragon Ball's immense popularity. Each of us could see ourselves in the characters of Dragon Ball. This theme of having powerful characters in a small stature is littered throughout the Dragon Ball series. Seriously, have a think about it. Who was the strongest out of the invading Saiyans, Nappa or Vegeta? Which one of Frieza's forms was the strongest? How about Cell or Majin Buu? With each and every one of these, the answer is always the smallest character or form. This was a monumental reason why Dragon Ball became so popular in Japan. But why did it break through for Western audiences during the late 90s? Its timing was perfect. Dragon Ball Z hit the West during the perfect storm. More and more Japanese products and licenses had penetrated the market during the 90s. Consoles such as the Super Nintendo, PlayStation and the Game Boy had become smash hits during this time, and with them came hugely successful Japanese games such as Pokemon and Tekken. This really helped acclimatize children and young adults to the Japanese style of action. Dragon Ball Z completely changed the mindsets of our expectations for storytelling. It showed us that animation did not have to be happy-go-lucky kids shows. It showed us that cartoons did not have to be single episode stories, but in fact narratives could be long-running sagas that spanned across dozens of episodes. In most animated shows, the purpose of villains was to arrive, cause havoc and then be vanquished all within an episode. This was a simple and easy formula as it would not confuse new viewers, and it always painted the hero as an all-powerful being, but this was not the case in Dragon Ball Z. The villains were monstrous titans such as the ruler of the universe Frieza, or mystical beings such as Majin Buu. Each one of these foes presented a very formidable and real challenge to our heroes. A challenge that would force our heroes to grow and evolve right before our eyes. Moments such as Goku going Super Saiyan or Gohan finally reaching his potential were some of the most epic moments in all of anime. But none of this would have materialized if the villains of Dragon Ball were single episode canon fodder. There just wouldn't be enough gravity or weight to these moments without an antagonist worthy of forcing these transformations in our heroes. Dragon Ball Z had villains capable of wiping out entire planets and future timelines. These villains had already defeated most of the heroes in the series before finally being eliminated. Cell's defeat felt epic because he had already systematically defeated Vegeta, Trunks, and Goku. This was worlds apart from the type of shows being shown in the West, such as Power Rangers and Pokemon. These were excellent shows in their own right, but they felt childish compared to the grown-up themes and villains of Dragon Ball Z. But it was not just the villains of Dragon Ball that were different, but also its heroes. Goku aside, a lot of the Z warriors were not clean-cut goody two-shoes. Tien, Piccolo, and of course Vegeta were all introduced as main villains in the series, and even had whole arcs devoted to them, and yet they grew and evolved in a realistic way to become a hero. Look at how Tien, even when he was a bad guy, still had pride and honor and refused to beat Goku whilst using Chaozu's telekinesis. How about Piccolo going from enjoying shooting his special beam cannon through Goku to truly growing to care about his child Gohan? Vegeta, the prime example, going from someone who desired immortality to making the ultimate sacrifice versus Majin Buu. These were not conventional heroes. Even the ones who were rooted in the side of good like Goku and Gohan were different. Contrary to popular belief, Goku did not win all the time. Remember, it was not until his third appearance at the World Martial Arts Tournament before Goku actually won. Gohan was different. Gohan showed great moments of frailties as a youth versus Nappa, but then great moments of arrogance like versus Cell. They were all capable of making mistakes. Vegeta allowing Cell to obtain his perfect form, or Goku letting Dr. Gero live. This was brilliantly unpredictable and unconventional kids television. Dragon Ball evolved in its style and genre as time went on. It began as an adventure comedy and progressed into becoming a fully fledged action show. This alteration is typified by the change in foes, with starting with the likes of Emperor Pilaf and eventually encountering evil beings such as King Piccolo and Cell. With this change in themes came a change in its animation style. Dragon Ball had a very soft and rounded shape to the characters, which really goes along well with the more light-hearted nature of its story. But as you go through the sagas of Dragon Ball Z, you can see the characters becoming more and more sharply drawn and outlined. The action becomes a fiercely intense encounter where the very environment in which they fought would be completely reshaped. Each fight felt like an astonishingly pivotal event, and the animation did an excellent job of depicting this to the audience. There would be vast amounts of damage to the very stage in which these characters fought. This really added to the feeling that this encounter was a truly cataclysmic event. These battles were fantastic to watch and were the majority of the time the centerpiece of the storyline. Characters shooting massive beams, moving faster than the eye, and being thrown through mountains was common in Dragon Ball Z. They could not be more different to what was the norm for Western audiences. Some of the more iconic moments of the series were the transformation scenes. Throughout Dragon Ball, both the heroes and villains would undergo big evolution steps that would completely change their characters. But what was fascinating was how differently they were depicted. When a villain transformed, it was a monstrous and terrifying experience that was either something they already possessed, like Frieza's forms, or power stolen from others, as it was with Cell and Majin Buu. These changes in the villains would create vast shifts in power, as the odds of the heroes winning were tarnished. When a hero transformed, it was some of the most uplifting moments in all of anime. This was because their transformation was achieved through tremendous hard work and a big emotional breakthrough for the character. This is typified in when Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. Gohan is a very loving and peaceful soul, but he needed to realize that it was okay to fight and defend the ones he loved. So when Cell crushed Android 16's skull, this represented the shattering of Gohan's restraints as he finally let go and unleashed his hidden potential. Moments like these were such an inspiration for not only younger audiences but also grown adults. But what elevated the iconic moments of the anime was the superb soundtrack from Bruce Faulconer. Many of these fantastic pieces of music have become cult hits, including but not limited to Gohan Anger's, Ginyu Force theme and Spirit Bomb theme. They were able to perfectly portray the emotion of the scenes. Try watching Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time with and without the music. How about Vegeta shedding tears as he begged Goku to defeat Frieza with his dying moment? I get emotional watching that now. They just don't have the same emotion without the music. It is worth watching the classic Dragon Ball moments again purely for the soundtrack alone. Now I have gushed about Dragon Ball Z. It is my favourite anime of all time, and quite frankly it is one of the very few pieces of media that has left a permanent impression on me. However, it is not flawless. It encounters a lot of problems long-running anime are prone to. A lot of the supporting cast become less and less relevant. Brilliant, prominent characters like Tien and Piccolo are bit part players at best towards the end of Dragon Ball Z. And others feel like they are just there to make up the numbers. The writing becomes downright lazy towards the end. I mean, just look at the way Goten and Trunks just suddenly become Super Saiyans. They were not earned at all. Or how, after everything that happened in Buu Saga, it ended up being Goku and Vegeta defeating Kid Buu. Perhaps worst of all, the way in which the overuse of the Dragon Balls made death completely meaningless by the end of the series. It no longer felt like there were any consequences. Even after Super Buu almost wiped out the entire population of Earth, there was no longer any emotional impact, as you knew they were just going to get wished back again. But despite all of this, Dragon Ball Z is still my favourite anime of all time. I think this is the case for a lot of people. It is the turning point for all manga and anime. Without it, there would be no Naruto, Bleach, One Piece or Hunter x Hunter, to name a few. It completely transformed the industry and made it global. I think it is the anime that all new fans should watch first. After all, it is a show that at its core is about characters overcoming insurmountable odds through sheer hard work and bettering themselves. Now I think that is a message which is truly universal. This is why Dragon Ball Z is so popular. If you did enjoy this video, please do drop a like, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. This was my first attempt at such a video, and to be honest, it was a work of passion. I would truly appreciate any feedback, and please do feel free to leave them in the comments section below. I plan on doing more videos like this in the future, so please do check them out. Thank you very much for watching. It really does mean a lot. Thank you very much.